Are you ready to go all in?
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
And welcome to the All In Practice Growth Podcast, the podcast that brings you a different perspective on the dental and medical industries. I'm your host, Shane McElroy, and I'm glad you're joining me today. We're still live here in Dallas. It's our last day of a big shoot we had here, which was tons of fun at the Peak Performance course. And this will be our last guest while we're in here in Dallas, and we saved the best for last. So I'd like you all to welcome Dr. Gary Morris to the podcast. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Gary, it's good to see you here.
Good to see you.
Before we get started, I want to tell the story. So the first time I got to meet Gary in person, we were setting up a course that we worked on together, and it was a full arch course, a 2-day course, lots of stuff going on. And we hadn't met in person. So it was like, I was a little nervous about that. And then I get a message that, Gary's flight's been delayed and delayed and delayed.
Yeah.
He gets in at 4 a.m. Was it 4 a.m.?
Maybe 4:30.
4:30. So what time you get home? Like 5. So how much sleep did you get that day?
No, I don't sleep.
You didn't sleep, guys. And if you ever see me not sleeping, I can barely talk. So we get to the course and I'm freaking out because I wasn't sure he's going to get there. Like I woke up at like 4 or 5 times in the middle of the night. He gets there. I'm like, oh no, I hope he does a good job. He murders it with 0 sleep. Like it was one of the best courses I've ever been involved with. And of course I've been to a lot since then, but you scared the hell out of me, Gary.
Well, I'm good at that.
You're good at that?
I actually I have a reputation for being last minute. And so sometimes, especially with new relationships, I like to just make sure I live up to my reputation.
So we should call that GST, Gary Standard Time.
There you go.
Right?
I think there may be a lot of people who would agree with that.
Yeah. So how do you like this facility here though? That we're
It's
doing
amazing. It's fantastic.
So did you stay at the Omni last night?
I did.
So when I first got to the Omni, I know I texted you about this, but I saw Georgia Bulldog shirt. And of course I went to UGA and saw Mikael Williams, who's, 6'5" giant. He's amazing, probably the best linebacker in the draft this year, in my opinion. A little biased, but he'll probably be a top 10 pick, and he's projected to go to your Bears.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that you were seeing athletes. I showed up last night at the hotel. There was a wedding that was adjourning, and I'm 100% sure next time I come here, I'm bringing a tux and I'm crashing the wedding.
Let's go, man.
What a party that looked like.
What you missed out on last night, though, and I feel bad about this because we did this amazing tour of and like, listen, I'm a little bit of a Dallas Cowboys fan now since we toured their facility.
Right.
But big shout out to Elite Dental Alliance there. They got us into like the private club for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And so I've never seen anything like it. And unfortunately, I didn't get to film it because they don't let cameras or anything in there. But
you didn't have
cool.
those special glasses with the little
we
camera
can't
on
tell
the
them
side?
about that. Jerry Jones will come after me, dude. We can't do that.
Jerry
right? But we're going to do a few more courses, right? So
Yeah.
So Peak Performance is what? It's a 3-session series, correct?
It's a 3-session continuum, yes, designed to have oral surgeons and restorative dentists working together for the benefit of the patient. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, the reviews from the doctors, they were more than willing to give testimonials. They had a blast, and what I really got from, because this is actually the first, like, I know about Peak Performance. I've seen your slides, I read through everything, but to be there is a little different, right?
Yeah, it's an experience that's a little bit hard to describe on paper.
Yeah, what I love about it, it's so many of the systems you can put in place that anybody can do these systems, but obviously they have to be motivated to do so.
Yeah, it's a contact sport. I mean, you really have to be willing to put the work in.
But it was like, I can apply these. If I want to, I can do this.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff you can take back Monday and actually make the change. And with leadership skills that are taught by Dr. Boyce through the course, you can be a defined leader in your practice and help make these changes. And at the end of the day, it benefits everybody.
That's awesome. Well, let's change the subject a little bit. The NFL draft's coming up, like I said, and you happen to be. Who are you a fan of?
The Bears.
The Bears.
Yes.
The Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.
There you go. Yep, exactly.
I got to work. I haven't seen the SNL from the 80s in quite some time. But
it's perfect. It's still, at least in our feeds, it's on there all the time. So
doubles. I remember that one too. So I've never been to a Bears game, man.
Oh my goodness. Well, you got to come.
I love Chicago, by the way.
Yeah. It's a great place to go see a game. It gets a little cold in the winter.
I'm thinking more September.
September's
October.
great. Yep. Absolutely.
I don't do so. The first time I ever went to Chicago was the Chicago Midwinter meeting, and that was like late 20s or something like that. I get up there, and I'd never been. By the way, it's like truly one of my favorite cities. New York is too much up and down for me. It's a little overwhelming, but the architecture in Chicago is perfect. But I get there, and it's February.
Right.
They always put the dental meetings they don't want to spend as much, so they put them into winter.
Well, also, I
unfortunately.
mean, how do you keep somebody indoors in Chicago? You have to bring them in February,
play.
right? I mean, because if it's spring, summer,
it
or
was
fall,
2 degrees.
Wind chill.
I think it was wind chill. I didn't care. For me, I'm from Atlanta, so anything is awful. That's
tell
below
you.
50.
Yeah, it was 20 degrees below zero a couple of weeks ago with wind chill.
Oh my God.
My son thought they were going to cancel school, but it has to be 36 below before.
Are
they
you
cancel.
serious?
Oh yeah.
If we get the chance of a snowflake hitting in where I live, Peachtree City, Georgia, they cancel it for like the week,
Right.
which I hate now. I used to love as a kid. Now,
Right.
when I have kids, I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah,
Now I
got to get them out of the house.
Yeah,
right?
they're going to drive me crazy now.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to ask you some questions because, all right,
Well, hold on. If it's
please.
college football, it's going to be trouble for me because I'm an Indiana grad, so I can talk college basketball pretty well, mostly in the 70s, in the 80s and 90s. But
Oh, that's kind of my time too.
we had a great college football season this year.
Yeah, no, really. Yeah, they came out of nowhere.
They came
that
out of
new
nowhere.
coach. Where did he come from?
Someplace out east. Did he
Yeah,
come from Madison, James Madison?
Something like that. But
Yeah,
they
JMU.
were unbelievable this year.
Yeah.
What were they, 11-1 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that until they, got into the.
You ran into a
part of
wall,
it, right?
okay?
We hit Ohio State. A little hard for me to say, but
It's hard for me to say too. Trust me.
Sure.
I got too many buddies who are Ohio State fans. And it's the Ohio State. I'm like, it's the shut the hell up.
yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't
They're
agree with you
so
more.
annoying.
Well, now they just have shirts that say "the," like we're supposed to know what that means.
Come on, man.
Exactly.
How
Get
dare
over
they?
it. Get over
But
it.
I think you guys have you get a coach like that. He brought all his recruits with him, and not to, you're playing in college football, you're an elite athlete no
Yeah.
matter what. But if you're coming from James Madison, like you're not. So that tells me like you don't have the premier players, maybe not the 5 stars. That means you're a really damn good coach.
Yeah, I think good future for the Hoosiers.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you lecture like from what I see like all the time. So
Yeah.
like, when did you start lecturing? Because I think a lot of people are interested. Like, how do you get involved in this? How do you do this?
So, if I have to tell you when I started lecturing,
Yeah, they're gonna know how
well,
old you are.
I will share with you that the first lecture I ever gave was in a bowling alley in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Sweet.
It was an evening program. I think it was called the Parades. I don't know if it's there any longer. They put the screen right next to the pins,
Oh no.
and so every few minutes you would hear, we'd be talking a
Of
little bit
course.
again, and you'd hear the exactly, and then you'd hear someone scream "strike," and that's where it all started in 1993.
I would have to say that's a great way to learn because if you can do that, you're pretty good. Most people aren't going to interrupt you in the middle of a lecture.
Well, I'll tell you, the interruptions in the middle of lecture, actually kind of look forward to those because as part of the training, we did improv comedy classes.
Oh no way!
Yeah.
That is, honestly,
Yeah.
fantastic
Yeah.
idea.
It was a total blast. We went to California, we did the classes. And so it gave you the opportunity to learn how to have spontaneous conversations with people
Yeah,
that you
come
don't
on,
know.
heckle me. I dare you.
Exactly.
I dare you.
Please heckle me.
And I've seen you do it too, and you do it in a very kind way, but it is funny.
Well, not always.
Well, if they're being a dick.
I mean, it's
you gotta
usually
do what you
funny. It's
do.
just not always kind.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like you so much, Gary.
I appreciate that.
All right, so I want to ask you, like, so when you started, how does that happen? Like, did you get asked to lecture? Did you want to do it? Why did you want to do it?
Kind of in the right place at the right time. I have to give Curtis Jansen credit for getting me into lecturing. Remember, I picked him up in Milwaukee. We were driving to a program in Madison, Wisconsin, and we were chatting about our training and different philosophies and thoughts in implant dentistry. And we ended up in Minneapolis.
Wow,
So I overshot by about an hour and a half or two.
I've done that
It's
before.
turned right around. So we got there about 4:00 in the morning.
Wow.
Yep.
See,
So no sleep.
that's just what you do.
Yeah, pretty much. And although I could fall asleep in the back. So Curtis had to go up and lecture. But it was early on in implant education, and they needed more people to get out there and speak, and I enjoyed it. And it helped me, I believe, get to practice at the next level because I had to document everything I was doing, kept me reading so I could stay on top of the literature. And it's really been, I think, very beneficial in terms of making me who I am as a prosthodontist.
So since 1993, I'm not good with math because I did go to UGA, but it's probably like 30 years, right? 32, something like that.
It's kind of, yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
you've got quite a bit of experience, and
Yeah.
which is no shock. Which I saw you this morning, and I told you I was like, God, you're so damn good at this.
I appreciate that.
The energy, everything. It's just it's easy to like get drawn into it. But what were the topics you started lecturing on?
Oh, gosh. Way back then it was, even just how to make an impression,
Sure.
right? And how to manage the parts and pieces. Diagnosis and treatment planning is a big part of it because none of us in dental school were taught anything about dental implants, at least not in that generation. And I was lucky enough to go to a residency that believed in implant therapy, because when I did my interviewing, there were still residencies out there that didn't believe in implant therapy.
Wow.
So I was able to get into it at the base level and kind of develop the treatment planning skills that we use. And one of the challenges we have as restorative dentists, there's so many different ways that we can treat the same patient, and all of them can be right.
Yep.
But in some way, shape, or form, you have to develop your philosophy in treatment and decide what is the best treatment option to present to the patient, and understanding that they may or may not accept that.
Yeah, of course.
So it's, something that's kind of grown over time. And, I've been able to see many different waves and new types of therapies and philosophies and treatment. And it's been a lot of fun to be a part of trying to develop educational programs that would allow dentists to be able to provide this great treatment to their patients.
Well, 100%. And I'm so glad you brought that up. So you said we started, it's like simple as impression taking, parts and pieces. And what's funny is I get talked to a lot of younger doctors who want to get into lecturing. They're like, but I don't have the experience, or, I haven't been doing this for 20, 30 years.
Right.
And I go, they always think you need to do the most complex thing. But if you think about it, that's the 1% of the market, right?
Right.
And the 80% is the ones who are afraid to say, I don't really know how to take a really good impression.
Yeah. And being critical of what you're seeing in your own work, right?
100%.
But so many patients can benefit from the simple therapy. Why are we ignoring the simple therapy? Why are we ignoring single teeth? And it's maybe not as sexy and exciting to talk about as full arch and digital and everything else that we can talk about now. But at the end of the day, it's just as important.
Yeah. And if you want to teach, you have to have an audience, and you want to start
Just take
with
pictures.
what you're good. Take pictures, document stuff. And then I think the biggest part is you do it because you want to teach, you want to share, not because you want to get rich teaching, right?
Oh, for sure. And the other thing too is, if you think about it from that standpoint, there's no way I can see everything. So I go into a course and I see a treatment plan or a patient that's being presented to me. It could be something I've never seen before. So it forces me into my thought process algorithm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm out teaching, as often as I'm teaching, I'm also learning.
Nice.
And, frankly, there may be someone in the room that has a better idea or a nice way of doing something that I haven't thought of.
Yeah.
I need to listen to that and learn from that too.
Yeah. I think the most successful people I've seen at anything are never, I know everything. It's always, I'm always asking questions and learning.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess I'll keep trying to do that.
Yeah. But every once in a while, someone might ask something that's absolutely off the wall. And
What's the weirdest question you've ever gotten?
the weirdest question I've ever gotten. Oh boy, that's a tough one.
There's got to be a few.
Oh yeah.
Weird, dumb works too.
Yeah. Well,
Unless it was one of mine.
I wouldn't say that. I can think of a couple of different scenarios. I was giving a lecture at a major university, an Ivy League, and one of the professors presented a treatment plan. I'm watching this and thinking to myself, there is no way in the world this is going to work. So I kind of sat and listened through the process, and I then said, there's no way that's going to work. And he said, I'm going to prove you wrong. I said, okay. So finished up the lecture, got on the airplane and flew home. Didn't think anything of it. Next time I get out there, comes and says hello to me. He says, I proved you wrong. I said, you did? I said, what did I do? And he said, well, I'll tell you in front of the class. So, a group of professors, Ivy League school, right?
Yeah, I can see what he's trying to do.
Yeah. So all right. So I got up there and he said, I've got a case to show. And so he shows the case, and I don't remember this. And all of a sudden I remembered. I'm thinking to myself, that's never going to work. So he presents the case and he shows it. It's a beautiful treatment. I said, well, when did you do it? And he said, yesterday.
Wow.
I said, okay. Well, the best part of that story was this.
How do you know it worked long term?
Made it a day, right?
Well, that's a start.
So some of the most successful people have the shortest term memory, right?
Yeah, of course.
We forget the failures. And so as I'm walking out, there's a guy in the back of the room, and he goes, you didn't go to this prestigious university, did you? I said, no. I said, why? Do I not seem smart enough? He said, no, you're a little too nice. So anyway, got on the plane, went home, had a big smile on my face, and then came back 3 months later. And this time I remember, right?
Yeah.
So I walk up to the guy and say, hey, how'd that case go? He said, I got another case to talk to you about. I said, I said, but the case that you showed me last time, you proved me wrong. How'd it go? He said, I got another case to talk to you about. I said, okay. So get up in front of the room. I said, Dr. X, how'd that case go? And he said, I have another case to talk to you about. And the guy sitting next to him says, it failed the next day.
Yes.
So it made it 2 days.
Okay. I'm glad you followed up on that.
What choice did I have?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. All right, let me ask you this question though. So let's say there's a young dentist out there, they want to really dive into implants from the restorative angle, right?
Yeah.
Where would you advise them to even start?
From
From an
education
perspective,
standpoint.
yeah.
I think there's so much information and good information. I would definitely reach
Instagram?
out to Instagram's good.
Actually,
you
you
can
can
learn
get
a
some
lot, right?
good-
You
yeah,
can get some
simple
good stuff on
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
You can get some
You can get some
dangerous stuff on it too.
You can
But
get some people that think they're doing it right, and then
Yeah.
they find out after they posted the next day it failed.
well, the best part, like if you're reading the Instagram feeds, you see this case and it looks pretty good, and then if you start reading the comments below, you can see all the things.
Oh, it's fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
So it's funny. You obviously know Blake McClellan and I.
Yes,
we
yes.
do that all the time where it's like, I'll share him a post because he would like repost some on Implant Compare or something like that. And it'd be like, dude, you've got to repost this only because the comedy that would come. And it's not that anything the doctor did wrong, but just knowing what other people were going to
commentary.
say when they have no other background in the case. So it's
Right.
it's a love-hate thing, right? Of the kind of social media side.
Yeah, well, it's the little dips, right? But I think there's implant mini residencies that are sponsored by local surgeons,
Sure.
oral surgeons, and periodontists. But specifically with what we're doing with oral surgeons, I think that's a great place to get started. Don't be afraid to say you don't know.
I think humility in that is huge.
Oh yeah. Be honest and have some humility and understand that at some point none of us knew.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, everything's brand new at one point, and even still today, after practicing over 30 years, everything's still brand new because no two patients are the same, and so 100%. You have to individualize the treatment plan. So that's a good way to get going. I think there is a lot of good information. Some of the national meetings, the bigger implant meetings, AO.
Sure.
The Amos Dental Implant Conference in December is a great place to go and get information. Fantastic. So those are good places to start. But your local implant reps can be a great resource.
I would agree. Like I like to think that when I was an implant rep, that I'd always trying to like, not about what I wanted to push on you, more of like, what do you need? Or there was a time where I knew what they needed and maybe pushed a little bit for their own benefit, but you get a good rep and not necessarily dental implant, but a good rep in general, that can be a very powerful resource.
Well, it's a huge resource. And if you really think about it, they're exposed to so many different cases, so many different types of surgeons. And a lot of the things that you learn from are the things that actually didn't work.
Yeah.
Right. So, failures are
best teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And, thankfully most of that stuff we can, manage and get past, but I think those are great resources. Read.
Yep.
I think that's huge.
Does audiobooks count or YouTube?
You could listen, I guess you could listen, but reading's kind of nice because you got pictures. Right?
Oh yeah. We gotta have pictures.
Yeah, you
for
gotta
sure.
have pictures. Dental laboratories, a great place to reach out
Great point. Most people don't say that. That's a great point,
Yeah.
especially if you've got a really good lab tech, specifically in whatever you're trying to learn.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
They've seen a
resource,
lot of stuff too.
100%. Like I used to follow, I learned full arch I was a little puppy dog following around my buddy Robin Johnson, who's South African CDT. So when they're South African, they 4-year training. And so they're unbelievable as you get this nap.
They've also got great accents to listen to.
Oh yeah. I'm not going to try it right now because when I'm around him, I can do it.
Yeah.
But he was amazing. I was like, can you just take me some of the accounts? I won't try to sell him an implant.
Yeah.
Cause at the time I didn't have a lot of business. I was brand new and I would follow him around and I just sit and watch and ask, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the guys, it was kind of scary though, how much they relied on him though.
Right.
And I think it's a great place to learn, but make sure you can do it without the safety net of that other person being there.
For sure. I think probably the best piece of advice I could give would be to don't forget that you're a dentist, because it's so easy with the digital processes to forget that you're a dentist. And a lot of times you have to go into the Digilog world where you're, kind of marrying the difference or the benefits.
The power goes out, or I've been in the middle of surgery, power goes out.
Oh yeah.
What do you do? Like, luckily we didn't need the drills anymore.
Would you guys just open up lighters?
No, we turn on our phones and put the light on.
Right.
Like you could see.
It's like being at a concert.
It was cool. We were able to do the case. Like the power came on like an hour later, so that was, thank God. But what do you do? Right?
Yeah.
You got the patient splayed open. You know, it's like,
right.
We're in trouble otherwise.
So did you get out the hand drill? Like,
well, fortunately he'd already drilled. So we just, instead of like, he was just starting to put the implants in.
Yeah.
So we didn't use the drill for that, obviously. Cranked a bit and then we were able to restore it. But it was
suturing in like
huh? Well, we had the lights on it,
our
phone lights on it the whole
gotcha.
time. So that worked. And then they did a good job. I won't say who it is, but nice job, dude. You know who you are.
You can tell me later.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
They're awesome. So let me ask you this question too. Let's go back to like weird, funny things. And this is, I'm all over the place, par for the course. What's like the biggest disaster, like weather disaster or like craziest thing that like the stage collapsed or something went wrong?
You mean like the time at the AAP meeting where I took a step and fell off the stage? True story.
Is that on camera? If there's a video there, we got to get it, dude.
It may, maybe, I don't know. But I, came back up, ripped suit. It looked like I'd, gone 3 rounds with Tyson, but I finished the lecture.
Oh,
and somehow
the
camera or the computer never hit the ground.
Yeah. So. I did that with my kid when he was 6 months old, or not even, he was like 3 months old, and he didn't sleep at all. So like, I'm not like you. I have to have sleep. And so we were like 2 hours of sleep a night. He had colic, never went to sleep. So I'm carrying him down. It was like 2 from the second floor. And we had one of those where you hit the landing and then it turns a different angle. So I'm like half asleep and him in one arm. And I do the one step and I overstep and like midair turned, landed straight on my back. He didn't wake up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I thought I broke my back, but it's like, you get the dad skills that go on. Like that feeling is not good at all.
No fun.
Don't drop the computer. Don't drop the baby. Right. But listen, I did something dumber than that. I told you about that. I showed you the grease mark of my nose and my face where I almost knocked myself out and my teeth. You might have had to restore some implants here.
Brent and I could have taken care of it, but I will tell you, there is an epic smudge mark on the glass.
No, it is. I took pictures of it too. Like,
if we come back in September and it's still there,
dude, that's hilarious.
That would be funny.
It is something, guys. The glass didn't move at all.
Nope.
Only my face. Like I almost thought David's laughing because I almost knocked myself out. Like legitimate. He didn't even laugh because I hit it so hard. Like we're friends, so you laugh when that happens. He waited to laugh because he thought I was really hurt. Like, and there's no security cameras to pick it up either.
Well,
which really bothered me because I'm like, God, that would be the first thing I asked.
Not that you know of.
Well, I'll ask the security guy because I'd love to do that.
That would be
like once you make a fool of yourself as many times as I have, it becomes just good content at that point.
Yeah. True. People start to expect it.
Well, they get it. Not a problem. We got a huge supply of that for me for sure.
So you guys have one of the craziest like weather kinds of things that ever happened.
Yeah. What is that?
We were it was one of our first maxillary anterior immediate load cases.
Yeah.
And so our office is it's basically a standalone building, and it was snowing.
Yep.
Forever in Chicago, snowing. And it took us a long time. We could do this in 20 minutes now, right?
Yeah.
But this was one of our first cases. The tooth came out, the implant was placed, I was making the provisional restoration. And by the time we were done, we were snowed into the building. So our doors push out. And there were there was 2 feet of snow, and it was so heavy we couldn't open the doors.
Oh my God. What do you do?
We hung out.
For a while.
Yeah, a little while. We had to call someone to come dig us out.
Oh my God. That's kind of like what happened to me and David. We did this 4-day shoot in Oklahoma. Blizzard.
Oh,
ran 75 degrees the week before, 75 degrees immediately after. But those days we were scheduled to be there, like they shut everything down.
Yeah.
At my rental car, I was literally driving 5 miles an hour at certain points of the interstate and just sliding.
Yeah.
It was brutal. Worked out. Hey, just like you finished your lecture, we got it done, man.
Got to finish.
We do, but
right. And finish strong, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like you finish strong.
So what is the most, like you travel all the time then, right? Like what is the most amount of lectures you've done in like 1 year? Obviously you may not know.
In a year?
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm going to guess 40.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So like 40 locally?
Oh, no.
All over the place.
No, you can't lecture locally.
No,
no.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
You lecture. It's inside
What's
150
the
miles.
2 hours away?
150 miles.
150 miles.
Yeah. 149 miles. You're in.
You go from an idiot to an expert.
Yeah,
right
you're
across that
an
line.
imbecile. Yeah, exactly. 150 miles.
You get all the haters locally, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Why should I learn from him?
I saw a case that he did
I
that screwed up.
guarantee you've got to lecture some within 150 miles.
Yeah, I do, but it's hard though because it's your neighbor, right?
Yeah.
So and I love helping people in my neighborhood, and people need to reach out. I'm always there for them, but I do think there's something about getting on a plane or getting in a car and getting away. Adds a little bit of a layer of credibility to you.
Well, and I was like in the courses where the attendees are not in their home place. Why? Because they're not like leaving earlier thinking about like, I got to get home for dinner or this or that. You get their attention as well.
Yeah, it's true. And I think, it's so easy to be distracted by everything else now.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, just put your phone out,
Pretty much.
which is why my phone is not on me when I do these podcasts because I'm that ADD. All right. So we got to wrap this in a second because we all have planes to catch actually coming up soon. But all right. One piece of advice to oral surgeon who wants to do a study club and they don't have good content, or they've had the same speakers, the same kind of stock stuff over and over. Where would you recommend they start to get like fresh ideas or new content? If especially like they want to grow their implant and their referral, their implants from their referral base.
Well, I think any kind of mini residency program or a program that has the ability to present patients that need care, develop treatment plans, and then be able to follow through with the different stages of treatment, probably the strongest growth tool because you're training each other to work together for the best outcomes for your patients. Yeah. And it, I think, encourages the team approach, which I think is incredibly important. It's outcome driven. And it can be done with a single speaker that becomes a mentor for the group. Sure. It can be multiple different speakers as well, but I think what that does is it encourages us to look comprehensively at our patients, teaches us how to speak to them, develop plans that are useful and doable. Right. I mean, it's one thing. Some of these treatment plans become so unbelievably complicated.
Well, that's because of prosthodontists, right?
Well,
gotcha.
Yeah, no, I don't know. We're the simple guys, the prosthodontists.
Oh, I disagree sometimes.
We can be difficult, but we're simple.
Or I've got the guys who are like, there's that, but the other segment of my experience with prosthodontists, and I love you, prosthodontists, is that maybe sometimes we're adding extra things for my way that I know works perfect, and it works perfect for me. Yeah. But whether like even teach, it's like take 10 steps to really take one. Sometimes overcomplicated. Yeah, well,
but that's what they say.
I'm a marketing major, so what the hell do I know?
I don't know. I saw on Instagram someplace, how many prosthodontists does it take to change a light bulb? Right? The answer is 1, but it takes 9 visits. Yeah,
you get the oral surgeon or like whatever the hammer and just let's
that's
go.
One of my favorite things.
I love that.
But that's there's some truth to that because we're sort of taught to run an algorithm and do things methodically. Yeah, and do things exactly the same way every single time. And I think part of what we do, it's sort of a checklist discipline. And we're all looking for an algorithm, right? We're all looking for a way to do things the same way every time. But the problem is we don't ever see the same patient twice, or hopefully we don't see the same patient twice.
Hopefully you do if you're a restorative dentist or a general dentist.
In terms of doing the case, right? You don't want to do it multiple times, but
100%.
But I think that I think what's kind of missing in dentistry right now is we've oversimplified it to the point where we can miss things because we're not methodically running through every single step. So
no, 100%.
That algorithm doesn't exist, unfortunately.
We'll keep searching for it though.
Well, the minute we find it, we're dropping the mic.
Absolutely. We're out. All right. Before we close out, if somebody wants to, reach out to you, maybe book you for an event, how do they reach out to you?
They can get me for events and things like that through Dental CE Solutions.
Okay.
And so the email would be info@dentalcesolutions.
Perfect.
.com, right?
Yep.
See, I got to remember that part of it.
And folks, also, David, can you bring my backpack real quick, if you don't mind? So I'm forcing him to start doing his own Instagram account, right?
Yes.
And so we came up with some names that had nothing to do with the hobbies he likes. But I was like, listen, man, the people who need the most help are kind of my age range, like 30, 40. I'm not 30 anymore, I'm 43, but 30 to 50. And I was like, they're going to know this stuff.
Yeah, or a little older even.
A little older even, right?
Yeah, okay. That's why we were talking about the Bears before. I'm a Bears fan for 60 years, been disappointed 59 times, but I'm feeling really good.
Bro,
we're going to get your Georgia guy.
I'm a Falcons fan.
I'm sorry.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So this name will ring true. So Dr. Gary Morris, if you want to follow his account, which you got to post that picture I will post it. Professor X.
Love it.
From the X-Men. So we'll call it the All on X-Men. So that's for you, sir.
I love this. This is great.
So we'll get you the digital image too. That'll be your no profile pic. But
this is awesome too. You took 10 years and 8 pounds off of me.
Hey, AI is amazing. Right. But hey, Gary, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me.
Guys, I got to recommend, if you want education, reach out to Dental C Solutions, especially when it comes to restoring implants, or you got the billion other topics too. Yeah. Check out the website, reach out. If you have questions, connect with him, Professor X, and I'll put that in the notes too. I'll link it as well.
And if you have an idea for a topic and we haven't written it yet, we'll write it for you.
That's awesome. Yeah. Custom education.
Yep.
Well, guys, we'll catch you on the next All In Practice Growth podcast.
Thanks for listening to the All In Podcast. See you next time.